Wednesday morning. I'm Stephen McCollum. For the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. We'll look at the market watch, stocks you're paying attention to this morning, local and national stories you need to know as well. Hey, I forgot what day it was. That's why I hesitated at the beginning, right? Middle of the week. Of course, we're right here at the end of June, beginning of July. Heat setting in here in Phoenix. 112 today. So everybody stay cool out there and let's make sure everything else is cool. Let's get into that market watch. And as of this morning, everything is semi up here except for Bitcoin, still going down here today as well. Now, chip stocks are rebounding today on the market, not from that huge sell-off that happened yesterday. Oil is going down today as well. I think we'll continue to see oil sliding as long as good news or non-news comes out of the Middle East. I think is where we'll kind of have to keep our eyes on here as well. The international benchmark Brent crude futures, well, they were down 4%. They're about $73 per barrel this morning is what they're trading at, seeing its lowest level since the February 28th beginning of that Iran war out there as well in February. Then the West Texas Intermediate Futures, which is the U.S. number there, it's down also about 4%. It's trading about $70 per barrel today as well. So that news, the chip stocks rebounding today after that sell-off yesterday. Dow Jones, 53 points up right here this morning, 51,770 for it. The S&P 500's up 8 points right now to 73.87. Then you've got the NASDAQ, 41 points up for it, 25,628. The Russell 2K up 17 points to 29.90. And then the one laggard here on the index is Bitcoin today, down 1,400 points, 1,413, 61,255. So down from where we thought it had kind of settled nicely in that 65,000 range, back down to 61,000 for Bitcoin here today as well on the market. So oil prices continuing to go down per barrel out there. Stocks that we are paying attention to right now. Well, first one we're going to look at is a company called Cerebras out there. Now, it's a semiconductor company. They just started reporting and going public back in May of this year. This is their first report or earnings report since going live on the markets and going public in May. Cerebras reported a first quarter loss of 22 cents, revenues of $193.4 million. They also said core gross margins expected to shrink between 36 and 38% in the second quarter. It was at 46.5% in the first quarter out there. All of that news together for your first report since going live on the market, 14.87% down based off of all of that bad reporting for this new stock. Just went out live on May, folks, and already negative out there with their reporting. Next up, we're going to look at a larger company called FedEx out there. They're down also today 1.69%. Well, they posted better than expected fiscal fourth quarter results. They're still down this 1.79%. But the reason why they're down today probably, well, the numbers that they reported on and beat for fiscal fourth quarter results, those numbers reflected, well, it reflected when they still had the freight business, FedEx Freight, under their wing. They have since spun that off. Numbers don't reflect that spinoff yet here as well. So FedEx down 1.74%, even though they beat their numbers with FedEx Freight, part of their numbers. Next time we see FedEx Freight reporting, it'll be FedEx reporting, it'll be without the FedEx Freight side of their business. And then let's look at some of those tech stocks, specifically Micron here today. You know, they're up. Well, they flipped here. They're down right now, 0.15%. They were up just a few minutes ago. As you see the graph on your screen there, they're back to even now, back up. Micron just going to teeter here as well. But they were down 13% yesterday on the market, the biggest loser in that tech stocks. But it was obviously climbing a little bit today here, 0.50%. They're actually releasing their earnings report today after the bell. So the market is getting ready for Micron's reporting coming up later on. for them. So big sell off yesterday. Not really a rebound today, but it's just there as they're waiting for the earnings report for Micron. Later on, when we come back, we're going to look at home builders, KB Homes. We're going to look at Wendy's, fast food icon there, and then Take Two Interactive Software, the gaming company. Well, we're finally the national nightmare for your kids or your friends out there. The national nightmare of GTA 6 is about to end here in just a few more months, but we got some updates for you on Take Two Interactive Software and their stock coming up as well. Now, let's get into some stories out there. We're just waiting. There's no new news in the Middle East. We know the Strait of Hormuz is opened again. We know they're still doing some negotiations. Oil is falling. So we know that situation is kind of better, but in the race of AI, we know that's a race between the U.S. and China, but also supercomputers are a race between the U.S. and China as well. And now we find out a Chinese supercomputer system, it's surpassed an American computer for the world's fastest. Yes, an industry listed, published in Hamburg, Germany, came out yesterday, and it gives China the edge over the U.S. with the fastest supercomputer. And this is the first time it's happened that China's been the best since 2017. It's a company called Lineshine. It's a system built by the Shenzhen Cloud Computing Center over in China. It took the crown as the number one supercomputer from El Capitan. That's a supercomputer over at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory over in California. That had been the number one spot since November of 2024 in terms of that speed. As I said, the last time China held the top spot was 2017. That back then it was when Sunway Taoyulight, it was ranked number one. The U.S. had held the top spot consistently ever since the U.S. has dethroned Japan's Fugatu back in 2021. Lineshine, unlike the majority of high-end supercomputers, uses a little bit different technology. It's not powered by graphic processing units, the GPUs. Those would be like the NVIDIA chips, for instance, that are powering most of these supercomputers. No, this one, it runs on standard central processing units, the CPUs. Instead, instead, it's running a little bit different. In total, Lineshine runs on over 13 million CPUs, according to this new top 500 list that came out. It's a lot of CPUs to get to that speed. The top 500 list uses a metric called the High Performance LinPack. It's the HPL is what they call it. It's a benchmark. It's to measure supercomputer performance. Evaluating a computer along this benchmark involves making the system run a proactive series of calculations, pushing the system to its limit in an attempt to ascertain how much computing it can actually do. Now, this benchmark, because you can't just go, oh, that computer's fast, we're going to go with that. You can't get those single numbers. You got to challenge them a little bit. And this benchmark allowed the top 500 to determine that Lineshine performed 20% better than El Capitan. 20%. Lineshine's entrance into the list made it the fifth supercomputer in the world to demonstrate exascale capacity, which for us layman people and not non-smart people like me, it means it can perform 1 quintillion calculations per second. That's pretty fast. Almost as fast as me. The Chinese computer's debut on the list comes one day after President Trump signed an executive order related to quantum computing, which moves the U.S. to upgrade its efforts in the emerging technology of course, quantum computing. But experts are saying that will transform the computing landscape as that technology gets better. No coincidence that executive order was signed and that news coming out yesterday as well. 1 quintillion calculations a second. I don't know what a quintillion is, but it sounds like a lot. Probably more than a plethora out there. Hey, we know that the war against Iran touched off fears of stagflation last spring, as well as the inflation fears that kind of have come true over the last couple months. But interesting enough, they interviewed some CFOs, chief finance officers out there, and most company finance chiefs in a recent Federal Reserve survey said the resulting spike in energy costs, well, it prompted only small price hikes of their own. They had little impact on their company's demand of their products. This is the most recent quarterly survey of chief financial officers released yesterday, or actually early this morning it was released. It showed inflation remained a top concern nationally, alongside muted optimism for the economy as a whole and a drop in expected growth here in the U.S. Economic output to 1.8%, and it was at 2.1% to compare it in the last CFO poll. CFOs were more optimistic about their own firm's prospects than in the prior survey. Now, this poll covered more than 500 firms nationwide. It fielded from May 18th to June 5th to those CEOs as well. Now, the Federal Reserve Banks of Richmond and Atlanta, then Duke University's Fuqua School of Business, all kind of work together to get this reporting. Hiring plans remain steady with the CFOs, and while firms foresaw both costs and prices rising around 4.7% this year as a whole, that was premised on oil prices of around $90 a barrel, which obviously is above market prices, that are currently at. We're at $70 a barrel right now today, for instance. So it's off that higher number. Of the firms polled, two-thirds said the oil shock had increased unit production costs, but only one-third reported raising prices as a company. More than 70% of firms said that demand for their goods and services had not changed by much. It actually increased as well, consistent with ongoing consumer spending and a sense among economists that the fallout from the war, at least on the U.S. side of the economy, actually had been limited. So CFOs are saying they ate the cost, and we're kind of seeing that in some gross margin reports out there as well, instead of passing those oil shock amounts off to the consumers. So we got some empirical data there showing firms eating that cost there. And it apparently was just a 2-month cost increase, as we're seeing those numbers drop quickly now to $70 a barrel. Hey, the Dow Jones, industrial average, that index, it's getting some changes here. Now they're going to add Alphabet is going to join the Dow Jones Industrial Average on June 29th. Well, we add something, what comes off of it? Well, Verizon Communications is being removed from the Dow Jones average. It's better to reflect the growing sectors of the U.S. economy. Alphabet's inclusion will broaden and strengthen the DJIA's exposure, according to the Dow press release here. They said it'll add that exposure to areas such as artificial intelligence, cloud computing, healthcare technology, and even digital advertising. They put that out in that statement. So it's going to cover bigger segments of the area. But they also noted in that report that Alphabet's larger market capitalization and share price, well, it's going to, along with their, diversification of their businesses, they say it makes it a stronger representative of the communication services sector. Now, the Dow is weighted by stock price, and Verizon's way lower price shares, contribute relatively little to the index's performance. The Verizon can go up or down in huge numbers, and it's not going to matter. They wanted more of a specific stock that'll sway it a little bit better, but also more indexes. And Verizon doesn't do AI, doesn't do healthcare stuff, etc. So kind of moving it into that. In other news out there for the Dow Jones, just make a note of this: Honeywell International, it will remain on the index. Don't forget it's spinning off its aerospace business, which is going to become Honeywell Aerospace based out of Phoenix here. That officially happens on June 29th. So following the transaction on June 29th, the parent company, Honeywell, will be renamed Honeywell Technologies, and then Honeywell Aerospace will not be added to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, just be in this regular index as well moving forward. There's little changes there on the Dow and around the stock markets. Well, we know a lot about some of these social media companies being sued from teenagers and young adults, saying that they've been bamboozled. They've become addicted to the social medias, etc. Now we find out Google's YouTube, it's settled a social media addiction case. This is a case brought by a 15-year-old in Florida. He accused the platform of causing mental health harms to children. So this law is happening, and now they've settled it. The terms of the settlement in the state court lawsuit against the Alphabet, Google, YouTube, all one company, They were confidential, the results were, so we don't know what came out of it. The attorneys for the plaintiff, though, says YouTube's decision to resolve this case before having to face a jury speaks for itself. We will continue fighting on behalf of all those affected by social media addiction to bring these companies to justice and compel them to prioritize the safety of their young users over their bottom lines. You notice that trend there? Continue to fight. Interesting wording. I'll tell you why in just a second here. They went on to say in their statement, we will continue fighting on behalf of those affected by social media addiction to bring those companies to justice and compel them to prioritize the safety of their young users over their bottom lines. Now, a Google spokesperson came out and put out a statement, and Fox Business got the statement from him. And they said the lawsuit had been amicably resolved and that the company's focus, quote, remains on building age-appropriate products and parental controls that deliver on that promise. Now, the teenager, the 15-year-old, he was referred to by as RKC in court documents, being a minor. Well, their side of it argued that YouTube and other social media companies had designed their platforms to be addictive. We've heard this before. He said he started using social media when he was about 8 years of age and allegedly became addicted, losing sleep, suffering from depression and anxiety as well. Where's the kid's parents at? RKC is also suing Meta, TikTok, and Snapchat in a trial set to begin next month over in Los Angeles. Now, we've talked about this before. There were other lawsuits that have been settled. There are actually claims lost in court. But there are, that we know of, 3,300 lawsuits, more than that, involving addiction claims against social media companies. And that's just in California's state court by itself. Another 2,600 cases brought by people, school districts, municipalities, even states. You have those other 2,600 lawsuits there pending in California federal court against these companies as well. And these companies, and if you notice, California is where they're being filed right now as well. But these companies are in for a long battle, and they're going to lose them, a lot of them, coming up here. We've already seen them start to lose them. So more settlements. How does this get fixed for them is the big question moving forward. And folks, appreciate you joining me here on this Wednesday edition of McCollum on Business. We'll keep it going. Hey, it's summertime, July 4th next week. You're hanging around Phoenix. You're traveling a little bit. Well, if you're a Bank of America customer or some of their entities customers, you might get some free access to some air conditioning, some museums, etc. We'll tell you about that coming up here when we come back. And then Dairy Queen, new flavors for the U.S.'s 250th birthday over the July 4th weekend. Of course, we're going to end with that story. Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen. Come on back, folks. It's McCollum on Business. And welcome back here to McCollum on Business Wednesday edition, of course. Our day of programming is just starting here at TME Media AZ on YouTube. We get this up. We're live, of course, right now on YouTube. They're TME Media AZ. And then, of course, when we get done, we put it up on demand on YouTube as well as over on Rumble. We move right into the live version of the main event as well from 8 to 10 a.m. Just me again today. Dale Hillistre is off again today. Should be back hopefully tomorrow if he comes back on time. You know, you never know on vacations, right? Who comes back and who's going to stay on vacation. But I get you through the rest of the day today. Of course, World Cup, Major League Baseball, Diamondbacks. So much to talk about. So come and join me live here on YouTube, TME Media AZ. Of course, everything on demand on that YouTube page as well as over on Rumble. Rumble.com/user/TME Media. And if all the videos pop up on that page, click on the channel button right above the videos and go straight to the channel that you'd like as well. Suns draft last night. Then, of course, Pit Stop coming your way later on today. We usually have it up by 2 p.m. here on Wednesdays. It will be up on demand on YouTube and Rumble later on today as well. All of our programming on demand on YouTube except for The Real Matrix. That is only an exclusive over at Rumble along with our other programming. So Friday at noon, or catch it today and catch an old episode. It's the final episode of the Charlie Kirk saga coming your way, coming up on Friday. Noon coming up this Friday, and then next Friday, it's going to be off for that week. But so last Charlie Kirk saga this week for the Real Matrix. Catch the old programming out there right now on Rumble. Free podcast system as well for all of our shows except for this one. Social media as well. Just search if whether it be the Pit Stop Talk, the main event, TME Sports Show, the Real Matrix. No social media for that, but you just search the Real Matrix for the podcast version of that show. Folks, plenty of ways to get and see us. We're expanding the ways you can find us out there. We're excited to have you on board. Like and subscribe wherever you catch our programming. We greatly appreciate it as well. And with all that being said, let's get back into the Market Watch. Today's a good day compared to what it was yesterday, of course, as the market had that tech sell-off and oil prices were kind of going up a little bit, although it's relative now. We know oil is sliding today, going down. $70 per barrel is what the West Texas Intermediate's at right now. The Brent oil, which is the global benchmark, $73 per barrel. So we're getting back down into those pre-war levels here. The tech sell-off, well, kind of reversing here today. Dow Jones right now up 173 points. S&P 500's up 14 points. NASDAQ's up 69 points here this morning. Then you got the Russell 2K, 19 points to the positive. And then Bitcoin continuing to go down here today, over 1,500 points down. 61,132 for Bitcoin here on this Wednesday, as that stock cannot get out of its way over the last couple weeks as well for it. Trump claims Iran has assured the U.S. there won't be tolls on the Strait of Hormuz, which obviously helps drive down those oil prices as well. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he said U.S. GDP growth can return to 3% before the end of the year. So there's some positive, at least positive conversations happening around the economy, at least from the administration side of things as well. But oil is reaching Brent oil at 73, like I said, the lowest level since before the U.S.-Iran war started back on February 28th. So we're seeing a lot of ways to go on that as well. Hey, let's get into a couple of local stories. Well, this is a national story, but there's some local elements to it here. I'm sorry, what am I talking about? We forgot about stocks. Losing my mind here today, folks, on this Wednesday as well. We'll just blame it on the heat, right? Is what we're looking at. Let's look at KB Home as our first stock before we get into the local. I'm just excited to tell you about free places you can go next week if you're a Bank of America customer. KB Home is up 15.84% right now. They posted fiscal second quarter revenue of $1.11 billion. The estimate was $1.10 billion. So KB Home's earnings of 43 cents per share, though, did come under the estimated 45 cents per share. So a split decision here, but KB Home up 16.21%. And that's with now mortgage rates are coming down, but still in that 6% range here as well. And they're hitting Well, they're hitting their revenue numbers at least. And then we got Wendy's out there. Well, shares are up huge today, 27.18% for Wendy's as of right now. The reason why? This stock was the most discussed stock on the Reddit investment community that's known as Wall Street Bets. Yeah, Swaggy Stocks tracks these things and came out and said Wendy's is the most discussed stock. Wendy's has a short interest of around 23% of its float, which means there could be a potential of a short squeeze coming up. Wendy's stock being driven up today, 26.94%, with a short squeeze possibly coming for it, according to those Reddit numbers that all those investment people watch in terms of the Reddit side of things. Now there's Take-Two Interactive Software. You might not know this company. They're down 0.90% as of right now. But your kids know about it. Your friends know about it. You should know about it as well. Grand Theft Auto 6 is the maker. They make that game. Been delayed multiple times. Should have been out a couple years ago. Well, now the company announced pre-sales for its Grand Theft Auto 6 game will begin on Thursday, tomorrow, folks. Which means they're going to start getting revenue in. The game does not come out, I believe, until November, end of October, beginning of November. But pre-sales, get ready to go. Money's going to start pumping into the coffers after several delays on this game as well. But also the stock, 0.96% down as of right now. I mean, it was up to begin the day. Big sell-off to start there, and now kind of bungling around here, at the 1% down range. But the stock also got a BTIG initiating coverage of it, that investment firm initiating coverage of the stock with a buy rating. They said the game will lead to a multi-year improvement in earning power for Take-Two Interactive Software. It's not just getting the game out, right? And you get that initial dollar amounts. It's also the in-game purchases and the millions and millions and millions of dollars people are going to spend on this game to do it. And that's what PDIG is initiating coverage as a buy rating. They're anticipating the years of revenue that this one game is going to bring in, boosting this Take-Two Interactive Software stock as well. Moving forward, this game is going to be huge, folks. There's no doubt about it. Now let's get into what museums and stuff you can get into for free. Now, it's very specific things here. Bank of America is expanding that signature Museums on Us program. Museums on US, Museums on Us. Get it? Yeah, it's all going to be expanded for the July 4th weekend. What they're doing is they're offering eligible cardholders free admission to 250 museums and cultural institutions nationwide, of course, because we're marking our 250th anniversary next weekend. Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and Bank of America private bank credit and debit card holders are the people that can receive free general admissions to 250 cultural and civic institutions. Now, it's only on 2 dates, July 4th and July 5th. So if you have those cards, just make a note if you'd want to. Now, all you have to do is present an eligible card and a government-issued ID to get in for free. Museums on Us typically gives eligible Bank of America, Merrill, and Bank of America private bank card holders free general admission during the first full weekend of each month. So it's a standard thing that they have. But in July, the bank is expanding the program to that 250 participating institutions, because of America 250. Get the correlation. Bank of America is supporting grant support to the National Archives in Washington, D.C., which will allow the institution to extend its operating hours. If you're going to be in the D.C. area for this, it's going to extend the operating hours until 10 p.m. through July 5th. The bank said the extended hours are intended to give more visitors the chance to view the Declaration of Independence, now a 250-year-old document. A full list of participating museums are available at bankofamerica.com/museums on us. And there's also a link there. You can't miss it when you look at it. So where can you go if you're just here in Arizona? Now, you can go there if you're traveling or watching us. From those of you that watch us in Illinois, I want to say Alabama, but that's not Georgia. Sorry, Georgians. I forgot they're from Florida, Nevada, California. You guys watching us out there? No, go to that site to see where you are. But here in Phoenix, you got the Herd Museum and the Phoenix Art Museum in Phoenix. Up in Scottsdale, you got the Western Spirit. Scottsdale's Museum of the West is part of this program. You can go down to Tucson, Pima Air and Space Museum, Tucson Museum of Art and the Historic Block are all part of this programs. Here in Arizona, July 4th, 5th, if you have those cards out there, just make a note of that as well. And just make another note of this as well. Accusations are mounting against the Scottsdale pool contractors from customers, yeah, who say the company's not performing. Yeah. Now we get this story from Fox 10 and everything. The company's called Sun State Pools. Now, if you haven't signed up with them yet, you're probably not going to because it looks like they've shut their doors. A Fox 10 crew visited Sun State Pools building on Tuesday, June 23rd. No one answered. The door was locked. If you go online, the business is listed as permanently closed on Google as well. Calls were placed by Fox 10 to two numbers associated with the company, obviously sent to voicemail at that time as well. Yeah. They had good, better business reporting. They had good ROC numbers just a few months ago. And then people started giving them deposits and the work not being completed. Now, as of right now, the ROC complains the LLC currently has at least 20 open cases against it. Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of unfinished work out there, money. So just be aware, this specific company, but most importantly, be aware of who you're hiring out there and pay attention to them. If you start seeing them not showing up and stuff, don't keep giving them money to finish the project. It usually leads towards bad things on that side. Now, some mayors got together and a new data center rules out there. Everybody's turning on data centers, right? Nobody wants them anymore. Too much money, driving your electricity and water costs up, for instance. Well, 43 mayors, I should say, including Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego, they met and they signed a pact this week encouraging higher standards for local data center developments. The C40 Cities Global Urban Data Centers Pact, get that. It was launched at London Climate Action Week. 15 U.S. cities signed the pact, which includes signatories representing 20 countries across 6 continents. Now, C40, what is that? It's a global network of about 100 mayors focused on clean energy and local resilience. And they said 1,700 data centers are located in their network cities today, and obviously more on their way as well. The pact outlines 4 standards local leaders and data center developers should follow when looking to build. Here are the 4, folks. First data point, facilities should not be located in areas where they will add excess heat, noise, or air pollution to neighboring communities. The second point, projects should not extend the life of fossil fuels, either on the local grid or as a backup power source for the facility. Okay. The third one, well, the companies need to provide transparent environmental and economic impact data. Okay. The fourth point, mayors agree data centers must pay their fair share for energy, water, catch this one, and network access. They should direct any excess revenue toward local sustainability and resilience initiatives. That's a very slimy word there. Must pay their fair share. Okay, still going to drive up your rates as they do more power and more water out of that system. Hey, yesterday, also we told you. So they're trying to put. Let me go back to that story here. They're trying to put a bow tie because the politicians all want it. Trying to put a bow tie on it, make it look all special and shiny. For their the people of these areas where these data centers are going in are revolting against them. They're trying to make it nicer as they can add them in. Say, look what all things we're doing to help it out. Don't believe it. Your water and electrical rates will go up if a data center enters your area. Period. End of story. We have tons of proof of it. Hey, we told you yesterday about Lucid laying off a lot of people within their company, about 18% of their workforce. I told you yesterday we have to wait and see if any of those are hitting the Casa Grande plant down there. Well, we now know. Lucid has filed a warning this week with the Arizona officials, the WARN notice. And they said about 700 people are set to lose their jobs just in Casa Grande. The EV maker also announced via the Security Exchange, the SEC. We told you this yesterday. They're doing a complete 18% cut in their U.S. workforce. And they want to save about $158 million a year with these cuts coming up. Now, Lucid did release the following statement, quote, "These are difficult decisions taken to align production with demand, reduce inventory, and adapt to declining market conditions. They are part of a broader effort to simplify the company, sharpen execution, and position Lucid to become more competitive over time. We are grateful for the contributions of impacted employees and are providing severance, benefits, and support to assist them through this transition. Our commitment to Arizona and the Casa Grande community are important to our success, and it has not changed. We continue to invest in our presence here and see opportunities to further growth in the years ahead," was the statement from Lucid. So 700 of those job losses are happening down in Casa Grande, according to Lucid as well. Get away from these negative stories out there, and let's move to a fun one here. Dairy Queen, folks. They're adding more treats to its menu. Look, I don't know what we're going to do after this Arizona's 250th birthday, because we're going to lose a lot of fun new menu items and stuff with it as well. You're getting a new Blizzard flavors. You're getting a patriotic slush coming up as well. Let's start with the Blizzards. 3 new Blizzard offerings are being released. They're calling them historic celebrations are taking center stage across America this summer. Yeah. Don't forget, you got the World Cup, America 250, whatever it's called. The full Blizzard Treat Cup lineup, well, that's what they're calling it, Blizzard Treat Cup. And well, that lineup includes the following: strawberry mango flavored. It's a mochi blizzard made with mango flavored mochi pieces and strawberry toppings, blended with soft serve as well. Then you can get a Biscoff cookie blizzard made with crunchy and caramelized Biscoff cookies, blended with soft serve. Hey, you people that like Mexican food, Mexican style hot chocolate made with Abuela as well. Abuela Blizzard is what they're calling that. Oof. Yeah, made with Abuela Mexican hot chocolate mix, choco chunks, fudge covered marshmallows, and cocoa fudge blended with soft serve. Any of those sound appetizing to you? Good luck to you. I'll stick with my Snickers Blizzard or my Oreos Blizzard. Hey, also, besides those 3 flavors, DQ's launching a new themed frozen dessert. Dessert. If I could learn to read. All, of course, in honor of the country's 250th birthday celebration. They're calling it the Stars and Stripe Misty Slush Float. Now, this float includes layers of cherry misty slush, world-famous self-serve, and blue raspberry misty slush with festive star sprinkles. It's a $2.50 float, by the way. Yeah. Starting Monday, June 29th is when it'll be available as well. It comes in a size small, is the only way you can get it, for $2.50, June 29th. America. Blizzards, actually, the Blizzard flavors don't interest me. This, however, sounds pretty tasty. I'll have to try that out as well coming up here. June 29th from Dairy Queen is where you can start to see that at as well. And appreciate you joining us here on this Wednesday edition of McCollum on Business. We'll be back tomorrow on Thursday, 7 a.m. to get you going on the show. Don't forget, we're taking Fridays off here for a few weeks with July 4th holiday coming up next week. So tomorrow will be the last live show of the week before we're back the following Monday, leading into that July 4th weekend. So make sure you join us tomorrow, would you? 7 a.m. Catch us on demand, all of our programming on demand. Cheers with your friends. We'll see you then, everybody. The main event coming up next. See you in a few.